We are back with more Common Knowledge, the show where I take a look at 10 of them. 10 common Magic the Gathering cards. I'll tell you if they are good in the Pauper format or not. Our first card of the day. Oh, yes! God, I love this card so much. Wall of Shadows is 1 in double black for a 0/1 wall with Defender. I mean, it cannot attack. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to this creature by creatures it's blocking. And this creature can't be the target of spells that can target only walls or abilities that can target only walls. Man, this is not a good card. But I do love it so much. This doesn't work against creatures with trample because the way trample damage is assigned. That doesn't help. I mean, it lives against the creature with trample because it prevents the 1 damage that the trampler would do to this guy. But then the rest would trample over. So it doesn't help against that. That's a real bummer. And there's plenty of other things that just kind of go around this guy. You know, he doesn't have reach or anything, so somebody can just fly right over. Menace can get around it. Intimidate can get around it in some ways. We had a creature yesterday, Banalish Cavalry, that has flanking. You don't want to use this guy against a flanking creature. Like, there's so many things that aren't very good about this. And then, if your opponent uses like a stab or something that gives a -1/-1 counter, or just -1/-1 until end of turn, this thing does nothing for you. But this stops a Tolarian Terror dead. This stops a Cryptic Serpent dead. This stops a Gurmag Angler. This I guess it doesn't. It stops an Ulamog's Crusher for a little bit until you have to end up sacrificing it. This stops the Cascade Golem. Like, it does actually stop a bunch of big threats. I wonder if you could put this in a sideboard. I don't think it goes in like mono black sacrifice, but if you put this in some kind of deck that plays a lot of black, just going, hey, if they do put up a big creature, I just need a big blocker that can always stop it. You're probably not, though, because it's not. That's such a narrow thing. That's what removal spells are for, right? So, and is this furthering your game plan anywhere else? No, it's really not. It's kind of a waste of a card, but I do love it. I think this is a trap that a lot of Magic players have to learn for themselves. that they'll play this and go, oh, because you look at this and you go, oh, this thing's like basically indestructible, right? Like, you can't damage it. It's so good. That's so good. And the answer is yeah, they can. They can shock this. They can do anything because it's just the damage that creature's doing. It's not any damage. And that last bit of text is so funny that if there's just something like, I guess, you know what, Goblin Digging Team can't kill your Wall of Shadows. So what great tech that is. I love this card so much. I love it with my whole heart, but it's not a very good card kind of anywhere. I'm going to give it a 2.4. But in my heart, this is a 10. In my heart. Next card. Barrow Naughty is 1 and a black for a 1/3 fairy that's got flying. And this creature has lifelink as long as you control another fairy. And you can pay 2 and a black, and this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. All right. Dimir Fairies, definitely a deck that's out there. This doesn't get played in it, but probably could. You'll have enough fairies that this thing getting lifelink is okay. It's 3 toughness, so a lot of the things that your opponent can play that take out fairies won't be able to take this thing out. This thing blocks a core Skyfisher or a Glinthawk pretty nicely. The pump effect is too expensive, but when you have a ton of mana, yeah, okay. Maybe you're late in the game and you just want to throw on an extra damage or two, or you want to block and get a couple extra lifelink points out of the deal. Maybe you would end up using it. I don't think this is too bad. It is a little too normal. There's so many fairies that will draw you cards or counter spells or tap things down, and this guy doesn't do any of those things. But the lifelink is kind of nice. I don't know. I don't hate this so much. I'll give this a 3.8. Let me know. I have not played Dimir Fairies. I've only played Mono Blue Fairies. I haven't looked at a whole lot of Dimir Fairies lists. Maybe this is something that does see a little bit of play. Maybe I need to bump it up a little bit higher. But I'm going to stick with my, what did I say, 3.8? Yeah, 3.8 I think is pretty good for this. Also, you get to say Barrow Naughty, and that's fun. Aki Drill Master is from Saviors of Kamigawa. I remember this card well. It's 2 and a red for a 2/2 Goblin Shaman, and you can tap it and target creature gains haste until end of turn. We have a ton of these. It feels like they put one in every set these days. That there's always got to be some red creature that can tap down to give another creature haste. We get those all the time. I don't think this was even the first one, but he's a cool goblin with cool art. I just like Kamigawa a bunch. This is bad. It's a grizzly bear, but it costs more than a grizzly bear does. The haste is sometimes all right, but it's very easy for an opponent to just kill this guy, and then it's a big waste. This guy is pretty bad. I will give him a 2.1. Nimana Sky Dancer, 2 and a black for a 2/1 human rogue with flash and flying, and when this creature enters, target opponent mills 2 cards. If this effect was better, I think we could probably be talking here. A 3 mana flash flyer. 2/1's not an amazing stat line, but for a flash flyer, not too bad. You play it at the end of your opponent's turn. You get to swing in on the next turn. But milling 2 cards is just not much. If this made your opponent discard a card, we'd be playing it all the time. Yeah, I think we'd still play it all the time. Well, instant speed making an opponent discard a card is actually too dirty. We would play it, but that is pretty dirty. You probably don't want that. But what else could you do here? Like a drain effect might be all right. Opponent loses 1, you gain 1. Maybe. I don't know. It's fine. This is okay, but it's not good enough to really see play anywhere. Let's go with a 2.5. I feel like 2.5 is like, hey, that's a halfway okay card that doesn't really do anything. Is where I put a 2.5. And like once you get into the 3s, you're like, oh, that's actually a pretty decent card. And then once you get into the 4s, you go, oh, that card's just almost there. And then 5 and up, we're talking about cards you actually play in Pauper. Intercessor's Arrest is 2 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchant permanent. Enchanted permanent can't attack or block or crew vehicles. And its activated abilities can't be activated unless they are mana abilities. All right. I mean, this does more than a pacifism because it's a pacifism plus. I like that it can go on any permanent. So, you could put this on a Relic of Progenitus, I guess, and then they can't use that Relic of Progenitus anymore. Do you want to pay 3 mana for that effect? Probably not. But you could also put it on a big creature that you don't want attacking or blocking. I don't think the crewing vehicles. Well, the crewing vehicles matters a little bit in Tron because of the Pinnacle kill ship. So there is a little bit of crewing of vehicles in Pauper these days. But I don't think there's not enough. It's really just the monster Tron deck that uses that. So I don't think you need that value. And other than that, you're kind of just getting a slightly better pacifism that also costs more than a pacifism. And I don't think that's enough. Art's great though. Let's go with a 2.3. No, it's better than that. I gotta stop discounting cards just because I wouldn't play them very much. 2.6. Demonic Vigor is a single black mana for an enchantment aura that enchants a creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, and when enchanted creature dies, return that card to its owner's hand. Okay. We've seen a couple of these, like a Not Dead After All or something that will put the creature back on the battlefield tapped. And I would say those are probably better, but those are also instant speed things. Those are protection spell, combat trick kind of things. This is an aura. The creature will get that +1/+1 and just have it until it gets killed, and then the creature goes back to your hand. So it's being a more permanent effect like that. It's okay. It's okay, but 1 mana for +1/+1 I don't think is quite good enough, even if you get the creature back when it dies. And we've talked many times about how auras are just kind of, I wouldn't call them a trap. I have a Bogles deck. I love Bogles. I love enchantments. I love auras. But auras are a tough sell because you try to play an aura on a guy and they kill the guy, and now you've lost the guy and you've lost the aura because it has nothing to target. And that's rough. That's real rough when that happens. And it makes these cards less likely to see play. Now, when you have something that's this cheap, I don't know. Maybe you try throwing it out there, but who needs this? What creature wants this? Does this go in like a Dimir Terror? Probably not, but especially because it's an enchantment here, you wouldn't want that. That would ruin your instant and sorcery count. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like where you'd put this. You don't want to put this on a Gurmag Angler because then to recast the Gurmag Angler, you need to throw even more stuff out of your graveyard. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I really don't like this thing. I'm going to give this a 2.2. Yeah. Next up, Gimli's Fury. 1 and a red for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+2 until end of turn. If it's legendary, it also gains trample until end of turn. I think we recently just talked. No. We did Gimli's Axe. We didn't do Gimli's Fury. 2 mana for this effect is okay, and we are starting to see a lot more legendary creatures show up in Pauper because of Spider-Man, because of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We've seen another one show up in Secrets of Strixhaven now, although you're not playing. I guess you could play Gimli's Fury on Page, but it's probably not really what Page is for. But, imagine playing this on a Leonardo. Your Leonardo already has a big power because you're playing it in some kind of go wide deck. It has to be Boros at this point, but you can play a bunch of cheap creatures in Boros, and then you slap this on it, and so not only are you doing a bunch of damage, you're doing even more because of the +3, and you're getting trample, so you're gonna hit through. I don't know. That's not terrible. Like, this card certainly got a lot better with the advent of TMNT or Spider-Man, and potentially even as we go into the future and more common legends are added to the format, even if I would really like to push against that if we could. I think if it was just that Goblin and just Page and Joven and his weirdo brother from the old days, then I could go, okay, hey, that's a fun thing. These have a little bit of interaction. Or I wouldn't mind having 1 or 2 more legends added every once in a while. But it's when you get those big chunks of legends that just feel like they're cash grabbing a little bit. I don't love that. Anyway, Gimli's Fury, another Universes Beyond card, but I don't hate it. Yeah, I don't hate it. I will give this a 2.9, I think. Just outside of 3 territory. No, I'm going to go even higher than that. I swear I'm not doing this for the memes. I'm going to give this a 3.2. Yes, it does give +3/+2, but I'm going to give the card itself a 3.2. Oh God. Eltergard. We're gonna go with that. Elderguard Ranger is 4 and a green for a 4/1 human elf ranger with reach. And when this creature enters, you create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. So 5 mana for 6/3 of stats over 2 bodies. I don't love it. I don't love it because 4/1. And hey, this is made to trade, right? And particularly trade with a flyer. You even see it on the card. This guy is looking to trade with this flyer. He's going to die, and he's going to leave his little dog behind. Like this guy himself is not worth blinking, and certainly not worth bouncing. But to just get more 2/2 tokens, I don't think is enough for that. 4/1, it's also just so easy to pick this guy off with little removal spells of any kinds, and the festivities ruins this guy's day. And now you spent 5 mana on a guy who's dead, and you spent 5 mana basically on a grizzly bear because the 2/2 wolf is still there. That's bad. That's just bad. I think this is a bad card. I'm gonna give this a 1.6, and a lot of that is to just illustrate how bad I think this card is. Goblin Firebomb is a single mana, generic mana, for an artifact with flash, and you can pay 7 and tap it to sacrifice this artifact and destroy target permanent. We've seen these before, didn't we? Just have Universal Solvent. Yeah, which is the same thing. No, this is better. This is better because it's got flash. But other than that, it's the same thing. But this guy's flash, so the flash is good. Whatever I said about Universal Solvent, I guess forget about it because we just did this a handful of days ago, and I think I mentioned it being, pretty good for like a Tron deck or something like that. But this is just obviously better. I still think you probably play Scour Existence more because that is an exile effect, and it's just a sorcery, but and where this is an artifact, and it's got actually Scour's an instant, isn't it? Scour from it's an instant. Sorry, and that does target permanent. This also does target permanent, but exiling's better than destroying. But hey, 1 mana flash speed artifact. You get it on the table early. That helps your refurbished familiars or your mirror retriever or mirror enforcers, your frog mites, those kinds of things. Gets them on the table a little faster, and then later in the game, you potentially have this ability to probably not destroy a land because if you can pay 7 mana, your opponent can probably pay a decent amount of mana too, and that means they probably don't need all their lands anymore to further their game plan. But you can get rid of a problematic whatever permanent you need. I don't mind these. I think these are fine. They don't really see Pauper play, nor do I think they should. But they're not terrible. Let's go for a 2.8. Next is Grixis Illusionist, single blue mana for a 1/1 human wizard. You tap and target land you control becomes the basic land type of your choice until end of turn. We kind of have this on an artifact already that gets played in Orzhov Blade decks. I forgot what it's called. You probably know, but I think this is better on an artifact. Just this 1/1 guy. I think this is very easy to pick off, and maybe if this guy had vigilance or something, I don't know. This is still pretty bad. I don't have anything really good to say about this. I'm gonna give it I think just a straight up 2. Not quite bad enough to go into 1 territory, but still pretty bad. Toils of Night and Day, 2 and a blue for an instant spell that is also arcane. You may tap or untap target permanent, then you may tap or untap another target permanent. This one can't splice, so it does get away from some of the problems that you've seen with other arcane cards in Kamigawa, those High Tide piles and things like that. I can't remember if this was actually played in High Tide or not. I don't think it was. This is fine. These are not amazing abilities. Tapping down 2 things, untapping 2 of your things, or tapping 1 of theirs and untapping 1 of yours. It's fine. 3 mana. I mean, it is instant speed. That's okay. That could do some interesting things right before combat because you want to tap their guys down before combat, not during combat, because then it's too late. Although you can untap more of your guys during combat, and then that's combat tricky. But this is nothing to write home about. I will give this a 2.3. I think. All right, I think that's all of them. So we'll call it a day, and we'll see you next time.